Well, hello.
What's up?
Welcome to episode 2 of Mostly Dead Folks, a
Episode 2.
history podcast of lives of the past and how we keep them alive today. I'm your co-host, Joshua Stern.
And I'm Brian Dunn.
And we are here at episode 2, and the theme today is one of Brian's concoction. You want to introduce it?
So I thought it'd be interesting if we try and come up with the next either DreamWorks or Disney animated movie on a historical topic. So we have a history of some. We've got Prince of Egypt and Anastasia, Pocahontas. So it's not, kind of territory they have not touched upon yet. So we have been challenged with coming up with something that has not been done yet. So I assume we're not going to do the Exodus or anything like that. So that's kind of our topic for today.
For me, it was really difficult. I had a couple topics that I thought would have been great.
Yeah.
One of the ones I kicked around was, you must be familiar with Laika, the first dog in space.
Yes.
Well, you might not have known there were actually there were multiple dogs before that died in space. So
Laika does too.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I guess that was Laika.
Laika
That was
does
Laika.
too,
Yeah. There you go. Obviously, I did
and the
a lot of
Russians
research.
tried to
cover
it up how
so
she died.
my first thought was, okay,
Yeah.
well, so Laika the space dog,
Yes.
not exactly kid friendly.
Yeah.
So, and they already made one in Russia about it's called like Space Dogs.
Uh-huh.
It's probably not very good. I haven't seen it, but regardless, it was one I had to deviate from. So here we have our wheel decide. This decides who goes first in the telling. And last week it was Brian. Let's see what the wheel decides this time. It's B.
Oh, me
B.
again.
For Brian. There it is. The wheel has decided. So, Brian,
All
take
right.
it away, my friend.
So my topic, might be a little for a more mature audience. I'm going to go with the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
Okay.
Like the concept.
So I'm picturing a female hero, a young girl, who I can just picture the opening scene is, so you have these almost like a montage of bonding moments between the girl and her mother, but then it ends with them being separated through a slave auction.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't want to go too far into like the slavery, everyday kind of I'm a field slave or a domestic slave, that kind of thing. So being about the Underground Railroad, the movie would be called The North Star, which was famously Frederick Douglass's newspaper, anti-slavery newspaper title. And it would be all about this girl trying to reunite with her mother.
I like it.
And your stereotypical villain in this would be a slave hunter and kind of a shadowy figure.
Not based on anyone in particular?
Not based on anyone in particular. However, imagine that you do have some famous names, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, who was a conductor on the Underground Railroad, Frederick Douglass. You can have these personalities pop up from time to time. You can even go down the love interest path where maybe she meets up with another slave who's also running away, and there's that whole thing. A theme would be togetherness. Would be kind of, again, trying to reunite with the mother, but also the love interests. And so again, I picture that as kind of the opening scene, and the last scene of the movie would be her meeting with Lincoln. And as the camera, after she meets with Lincoln, and you can't really tell it's Lincoln yet.
I can see it.
You can just kind of see
silhouette,
almost like over the shoulder type shot.
Big stove.
And she's all nervous, and I've heard great things about you, young girl, young lady, and all this kind of stuff. But then the camera would pan down, and he's working on the Emancipation Proclamation. That's how the movie ends.
It's so
obviously
history nerd. I just love it.
Obviously, happy ending. She meets up again with her mother. You can do the whole idea of the conductors. You can do the different stations and how abolitionists and those involved in the Underground Railroad would kind of help move the slaves along from point to point. How they hid them. You can kind of do all sorts of different things.
I'm actually surprised there hasn't been a movie made on this yet.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just too controversial in terms of racial dynamics and that kind of thing. But you can still show, and the thing with the Underground Railroad, it was that blacks and whites contributed to it and helped
Sure.
slaves reach the North and reach freedom. So you can kind of play off of that. It's showing that both blacks and whites could be
Working
heroes
together.
in
Sure.
this, working together. And again, there's your theme of togetherness. So it could be a musical. Could be,
Where's that come from?
it could be a musical.
Do you have
of
the
some-
songs written too?
I keep picturing like Prince of Egypt. If
Right.
you've ever
Oh,
seen Prince of
Egypt's
Egypt,
great. It's
it's
fantastic.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is.
And again, serious topic of
Sure.
slavery
course.
and how they kind of show enough without going too much in your face with it. But that would be my pick, Underground Railroad. Which, if you don't know, I keep saying Underground
Yeah.
Railroad. It was not an underground
It wasn't an
railroad.
actual railroad.
For my middle school students. Yeah, it was not an actual. The joke is it did not go 20 miles per hour or something like that. It was just a network of safe houses and places to hide until the slaves could reach freedom. Right. So abolitionists would give them supplies, a place to stay for the night, food, whatever they needed as they're moving along. And again, with the villain being the slave hunter, you can have this whole thing where the abolitionists are kind of sending the slave hunter in the wrong direction, and that's all history. That's all been done. So
I love that you went full deep history. I really respect that.
Okay.
I went a very different way. My first thought was, what does every good kids movie need to have? It's got to have animals in it.
Okay.
So I went with the story from the 90s, also always great, it's the
Okay.
90s, of Dolly the sheep. So for those of you who don't know, Dolly was the first first animal that was ever cloned from human cells. A lot of people don't know this, and
Yeah.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, I didn't
either.
either.
Dolly the sheep, her code name, by the way, 6LLS. Not quite as catchy
Dolly
as Dolly.
kind of runs off
Yeah.
the tongue a lot easier.
I would go with the name of my movie would just be Dolly. I'm not very original in that regard. So a little bit of history. So Dolly was cloned by the process of nuclear transfer, whatever that is, using the cell of a human mammary gland in order to create this sheep. It happened on the 5th of July in 1996. And spoiler alert, Dolly is no longer with us.
I was just going to ask
She's
that.
no longer with us, but
Okay.
you can see her at the National Museum of Scotland in her stuffed form.
Oh,
So
okay.
now, how is this a kid's movie? To me, as I said, you got to have your animals, right? But I also think there's lots of potential here for positive messaging, because even though Dolly was cloned, I think this idea that it's Dolly trying to figure out, who her parents are. There's this sense of
okay.
what is her identity?
Okay.
Where did she come from?
All right.
And I think if I remember seeing Wall-E in the movie theaters in 2008,
yes.
and I'm sure you did too.
Ugh.
And you remember when he's watching the old 50s film, he's
Yes.
watching, I think it was Dancing in the Rain.
No,
maybe?
it was Hello Dolly.
Hello, Dolly.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That would have been.
There we
There it is. Obviously, I need to do more research here. Hello, Dolly. That'd
I
been
mean,
really-
you missed the boat on
I
that
did.
one.
But he's watching Hello, Dolly, and he's his little face
Yes.
droops, and he gets the. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
not a blubbery mess,
Yeah.
So I think Pixar really kind of created this. Yes, these are kids' movies, but adults are brought
Yes.
in. If you've seen Inside Out or, of course, Up, there's always that one real
Yes.
tear-jerking
Yeah.
motion. And now that I'm a dad, I just cry all the time about everything. So I think there's a real potential here to have Dolly, this sense of identity, who our parents are, but also even though, there could be a moment where Dolly doesn't know, who am I? Where do I come from? But even though she's cloned, she has her own identity, she has her own personality. So I think there's a real message there of individuality and, told through the story of a cute sheep who can resist. And also sheep, by the way, very underrepresented animal in terms of kids.
They are
movies.
kind of like side background.
They're pushed to the
characters.
side, and I think the sheep they have a lot they have a lot to offer us. So,
Now, I got a question.
go ahead.
At some point in this movie,
Yeah.
does Dolly Parton sing a song?
So apparently,
Because again,
did you know that's where Dolly got its name from? So
Yeah, no.
apparently, without getting into too much detail, the scientists thought that the area in which they got the cells from was best connected to Dolly Parton. And I'll leave it at that. But yes, Dolly Parton would obviously make a guest appearance here because it's Dolly Parton.
Okay.
And she's in everything now.
She is.
I've seen her
she's a national treasure.
She's always been, but
Yes.
I hope Dolly's doing all right because it seems like there was that rumor that she had died.
her sister,
Sister died. So the fact that she's getting pushed out everywhere leads me to believe Dolly might not be in good health.
Okay.
I hope
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Dolly, if you're watching,
National treasure.
we love you and we
do.
hope you live absolutely forever. But that'd be my answer. Would be the story of Dolly the sheep being cloned.
So she is going up against the unknown is the antagonist, you would say, or
Sure.
is there?
This is a good
are
question.
Are there?
I know every movie. I feel like the conflict. See, I don't know. If you look at Inside Out, right, there isn't necessarily this kind of your typical antagonist. The antagonist is within all of us, which I think is sort of that internal struggle that Dolly finds herself. It's the other sheep, the ones who are not cloned, who start telling her like, "Hey, you're not one of us. You're different." And how does she kind of navigate that ovine world in a way that, speaks to us as people? Okay. And then, of course, there can be zany chases or her playing with other animals who accept her for who she is. And you talk about, who doesn't love the story of acceptance from we're coming into the Christmas season, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This is something, it's a trope that is, time-honored for a reason.
Okay.
So.
But for both of ours, there's a hero's journey.
Absolutely, of course.
There's a hero's journey for self-discovery, for mine in terms of reuniting with her family.
There's a lot here. I think the historian in me loves your idea.
Okay.
The dad in me, if I just want to be able to go to the theater and not have to explain, let me tell you about the system of the antebellum America. I get it, but I think that for me would be, I'd go with the animals just because it's a little bit safer topic.
Okay.
But I hear where the historian in me loves.
I'm just thinking like the soundtrack for mine would be amazing.
I haven't thought about the soundtrack.
You could get so many big names.
Sure.
And just imagine like the spirituals being inserted in there, and oh man.
And I love it too. My family, so we used to have Thanksgiving. The house we'd have Thanksgiving. It was my great uncle's, and it was from the 1700s. And there was a room behind a closet. Now we can't confirm this. But we were always told if you kind of move the panel aside, we were always told it was right along the Connecticut River. So there was definitely a chance that it could have been used as a place for the Underground Railroad. Oh, okay. It was kind of hidden behind the fireplace. So that's how I learned about the Underground Railroad as a kid. Is in the context of Thanksgivings in this home with this secret compartment, which I never heard a better explanation. So it was on the Underground Railroad as far as I'm concerned.
That's awesome.
So we'd like to hear from you. We're going to go to a question here. So we'd like to hear from everyone about historical questions, but also, of course, like, comment, subscribe. In the comment section, please leave any feedback you have. If you have a suggestion for a category you'd like us to look at, we've already gotten some pretty wild ones that we have. We have a long list, but we're happy to hear that, and as well as a history question that we'd like to end with. So Brian's question, for me, comes from the middle school, and then next week I'll give him one from the upper school.
So this one's an interesting one. I don't know. You can kind of address it in a number of ways.
Let me just point out as well, I have no idea what he's going to ask. These are it's all spur of the moment here.
Yeah. So this question comes from Davey, and he wants to know, how would you survive, or would have survived, World War I? Would you have survived
Anyone who's
ever
seen me at a shooting range, the answer is probably I wouldn't. I probably would have been done in on day one.
Just keep your head down?
I would have just kept my head low and tried. How would I have survived World War I? Well, of course, it depends. If I'm American, I would have only had to survive for 6 months or something when you're on the battlefield?
Yeah, we joined late.
So as an American, I would have said, just tell the French and Belgians, you guys are doing a great job.
You guys got this.
I'm here to provide any kind of materials or emotional support possible.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to go over the top. I'm probably going to act really like, all right, lads, it's time to go over the top. I would have said, all right, I'm right behind you. And I'd have just, kind of hidden and just waited for everyone else to go over the top. I would not have been looking for the croix de guerre.
Yeah.
I would not have been looking for honor. I'd have been looking to survive. Maybe that makes me cowardly, but that's how I'm surviving the war, and probably trying as much as possible to eat my food in a cleanly part of the trench.
Yeah.
I would say. I think.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I think the answer is a lot of the things that are going to kill you in World War I, you're not going to see coming. Yeah. It's not going to be a bullet. It's not going to be. Yeah. It might be the artillery shell that you hear but don't see until it lands on your head, or the Spanish flu. It's probably what's going to do you in, or trench foot, or some other horrendous.
Well, you mentioned trench foot.
Oh,
so
I love trench foot.
So there's so many primary source, of letters back home, and I saw one time where it literally said, "My advice to other soldiers is keep your feet dry. Keep your feet dry." So that's,
it would be a struggle though, wouldn't it? You're not exactly. You don't really have the option.
You're in the mud and the muck and the feces and the blood and
it's ugly.
There's the trenches are rat infested and all sorts of. And you would literally, if let's say you died we would literally just bury your body into the trench.
Stick me in there.
Yeah, just stick you into the part of the trench. There's no way we're sticking our heads out of the trench to go bury you and have a nice ceremony.
I guess to your wonderful question, Davey, I would say I would be as cowardly as possible and hide out as much as possible. And if I went in with the American Expeditionary Forces under Pershing, I really only need to survive for a couple of months. If I'd been Belgian, French, German, forget about it. There's no chance. I mean, what was the average life expectancy once you made it to the front? Couldn't have been more than a year max,
it's
right?
Not good.
Probably not. Not good. So that's how would you answer it? What would you do to survive?
Again, I would keep my feet dry. I don't know. I think you would kind of like, I'd probably grab somebody in front of me and just kind of use them as a
human shield. Okay, so Davey, even I didn't go that dark.
I mean, because I don't think you could just be like, the whistle blows and everybody's climbing up the ladders and you're going over the top. I don't think you could just stand there. Here, guys. I'll protect our flag.
Okay.
No, I don't think you could do that.
I'm really happy to know that you and I are on the same wavelength on this one. I didn't go as far as to say I would use one of my compatriots to take the bullet for me.
But then, I would just drag him along and just let him just take the bullets, even after he's...
How strong are you? You're lifting up a full-grown dead man?
I would go for a sickly guy. A sickly...
Go into the sick ward, drag this poor soul out, and you're just running with him up.
Anybody have typhoid? Anybody? Good night.
So, Davey, you've learned a lot about your teachers here today. I don't know what strategy you would use, Davey, but I think his is actually probably the best.
I mean, just.
This has been another disastrous episode of Mostly Dead Folks. We welcome your comments, and we're constantly trying to get better here, but we hope you've enjoyed this episode. And again, leave in the comments regarding the kid's story. If you liked my idea of Dolly the sheep, leave a vote. If you liked Mr. Dunn's version on the Underground Railroad, leave a vote. I think there's a lot of potential in both, I would say.
Yeah, Disney DreamWorks. I mean, we would love to be part of the production.
See, I still do this for Give Me a Call. The kids these days, it's this, right?
Yeah.
Well, give us a call or a text or whatever.
This just looks like you're doing FSU.
Do not bring FSU into this, please. No,
okay.
Not an FSU guy. I know you are.
I'm an Irish fan. So.
On that dreadful note, we're going to end this episode. We'll see you all episode, I guess, 4.
Episode 3.
Are we technically on episode 3? Behind the curtain, real quick, we did have an episode that was deleted by someone's error. So we'll see how it all goes from there. And the thumbs up has just appeared somehow.
Wow.
You see that?
I did see that.
I don't know who's done that. Well, there you go. So we're learning new things every day. We'll see you all for the next episode of Mostly Dead Folks.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.